Welcome to the third part of the trilogy of Memento videos here on the channel. Today we are going to be going through 3 one-card combos that you can do with the pure Memento deck. The deck profile is down in the description below. And yeah, welcome to the third part. My name is Tim. Please do subscribe down below if you enjoy the Yu-Gi-Oh content that I post here. I post Yu-Gi-Oh content every Friday. And we're looking to get to 250 subscribers by the end of the year, and we're well on the way to doing that. So, like I say, we've got 3 one-card combos to be going through here. We've got one that starts with either Angwitch or Darkblade. We've got one that starts with Tatsu and Goblin, and one that starts with Goblin. So, yeah, we've got 3 combos to be going through. And essentially, these build similar boards that just break down your opponent's turn. You can play so much during the opponent's turn that it's just so frustrating to go against. And yeah, let's just get into it, like. Let's just get going with it. The first combo that we're going to do is going to be starting with either the Memento Darkblade or the Memento Angwitch. You can start this combo with whichever you want. You can also therefore start this with Reinforcement of the Army to search for your Darkblade. Or if you draw into Bone Party plus another Memento monster that's not going to start a combo, so for example, Memento Mace, you can go into Bone Party and use this in order to search for one of the Angwitch or the Darkblade. So we're going to start as though we're starting with the Darkblade, just because we might as well start with the longest form of the combo. The only difference is you will end up with a card still in your graveyard if you start with Darkblade, whereas Angwitch, you end up with 0 cards in your graveyard by the end of this turn. So, first of all, we are going to normal summon our Darkblade. It's probably the best normal summon in the deck, other than, well, this and Angwitch are about on par with each other, but essentially this gets you the search for Angwitch. So, it's got an effect where you can pop itself in order to special summon a level 3 or lower Memento monster from the deck. So we summon out the Angwitch. Angwitch has an effect on summon, which allows you to search for a monster, a Memento monster. We're going to search for Tatsu and Goblin. Tatsu can special summon itself if you only control Memento monsters. So we special summon itself out, and then we're going to use its second effect, where it can pop a Memento monster on the field. So we're going to pop itself, and then send monsters to the graveyard equal to or lower than the level of the popped monster. So we're destroying Tatsu and Goblin, which is a level 5, and we're going to send the sheep, the goblin, and the mace to the graveyard. Nice and simple so far. All right. Next up, we're going to use Angwitch's effect. Angwitch can pop herself in order to special summon a level 2 or lower from the graveyard. We're going to special summon the mace from the graveyard by popping the Angwitch. Angwitch can pop any monster, by the way, not just herself, but she's the only one on the field. And then Mace has got exactly the same thing of being able to pop a Memento monster in order to search for a spell or trap. So we pop the Memento Mace in order to search for our fusion card. Now, the fusion's really good. Because a monster's been popped, we can shuffle monsters back into the deck from the graveyard for the fusion summon using this card, rather than having to send monsters from the field or the hand. So we can activate the Memento fusion and shuffle back monsters from the graveyard. Now, we need to keep the sheep in the graveyard. Tatsu's done with, Mace is done with, and Angwitch is done with. So we can just shuffle those back into the graveyard, into the deck, sorry, in order to be able to summon out our Creation King. Now, Creation King is basically a free summon, because now we just get to choose what we want to send to the graveyard, and we can send up to 3 Memento monsters, up to 3 Memento cards, sorry, to the graveyard. So we're going to send another copy of Creation King. We're going to send a copy of our combined creation, and then we're also going to send a copy of Gatik. When Gatik gets sent to the graveyard by the effect of a Memento monster, he can special summon himself. So he does so, fusion's gone. So he does so, and then when he does so, he gets to add a Memento card from graveyard back to your hand. So we search through the graveyard and we grab the sheep. Sheepy has a quick effect that allows himself to special summon himself, and when he is normal or special summoned, you get to fuse using sheep and any cards from your field or your hand. So we now special summon the sheep because a monster has been destroyed, and then we're going to fuse with the sheep and the Gatic into the Twin Dragon. Twin Dragon effect allows him to pop a Memento monster, and that gives you the option to search for 2 Memento cards. So we pop the Twin Dragon, and with that we are going to search for another copy of Darkblade and a Horned Dragon. Now the actual Darkblade doesn't really matter what you search for here, but the Horned Dragon does, because we're going to be special summoning him shortly. Okay, secondary effect of Twin Dragon is when he's popped by a card effect, you get to special summon a monster that is level 6 or lower from the graveyard. So with that, we are going to special summon the sheep back from the graveyard. Alright, now we've got a couple of things that we need to do from the graveyard. So first of all, we can activate Creation King in the graveyard, banishing him from the graveyard in order to search for our field spell. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to banish him from the field. We can do this before. We can do this slightly earlier if we wanted to, but we're going to do it now. Grab the field spell and then immediately activate that field spell. Secondly, now that we've got the sheep on the field, we are now going to use the effect of Memento and Fusion in the graveyard. So the secondary effect of Fusion is the ability to banish this card from the graveyard, destroy a monster that you control, and then add a Memento spell or trap from deck to hand. So we're going to do that. We're going to banish the Fusion, we're going to pop the sheep, and we're going to add the Bone Party to our hand. Now, Chain Link 1 is going to be the field spell. Chain Link 2 is going to be the sheep. So sheep can send a Memento spell or trap from deck to graveyard. We're going to send the Cranium Burst from deck to graveyard. And then the field spell is going to allow us to special summon a lower level than the monster that was destroyed, which is level 3. So we're going to summon the Gatic back to the field. Okay, so we now have more than 3 Memento monsters in the graveyard. We've got plenty in there, which means that we can special summon our Horned Dragon from the graveyard, from our hand. From here, we can start going into some link plays just to finish off things. So we're going to link these 2 off for an IP Masquerena. IP is really useful in this deck. It's insane what you can get out of an IP Masquerena in this particular deck. And then we're going to shuffle basically all of the monsters in our grave back into the deck, except for 1. So it doesn't really matter out of this choice what you do shuffle back. I'm going to keep the Darkblade in the graveyard, but we're going to shuffle 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 back. Place that there. Place them over there in order to summon our combined creation to the field. And then just finishing off the full combo, we set the Bone Party and then go to pass turn. During the end phase, your field spell will allow you to set the Cranium Burst from your graveyard. Now, it's really important to it doesn't look like much that we've got going on here, but we really do have a lot that is happening. So, first of all, during your opponent's turn, you can flip over the Cranium Burst. Cranium Burst turns your combined creation into an Appaloosa, essentially. So it's going to allow us to reduce combined creation's attack by 1,000 each time, and then negate monster effects. And you can do that once per chain, but as many times per turn as you want. So you've got 5 negates here, monster negates, using Cranium Burst, which is just insane on its own. Other things that we can do though, so if you let your opponent play through a little bit of their turn and they come up with a field spell, for example, I used this against Tenpai Dragons in order to get rid of the Sangen summoning. you've got the option of going in for Bone Party. So Bone Party, we can destroy a Memento monster in hand or face-up field. So we destroy the Darkblade that we searched for earlier, and then take one Memento monster from the deck with a different name, either add it to the hand or special summon it. So we're going to summon the Angwitch back to the field. Angwitch has an effect to be able to search, and with that we can search for our sheep. Where is it? There it is. So we can search for our sheep. Now, at any point, you've got the quick effect of being able to special summon the sheep and therefore go in for a fusion. And after that, you're just going to play during your opponent's turn, essentially. So when you feel like the time is right, quick effect summon your sheep and then fuse the Angwitch and the sheep away for the Twin Dragon. Twin Dragon effect on summon. Pop himself in order to be able to search for 2 cards. So we're going to search for Memento and Mace, and then the other one doesn't actually matter because we could use it as discard fodder, essentially, is what we're doing. But I'm going to search for Goblin just in case you don't summon the Darkblade. Goblin just has an effect of basically discarding it in order to be able to make it so that your opponent can't target Memento monsters with card effects this turn. So it's useful. It's not as good as the Mace, though. And then Twin Dragon has the secondary effect because it was popped, and the field spell is going to go off as well. So Chainlink 1, Twin Dragon, Chainlink 2, field spell, to be able to summon our sheep back. And you can summon the Darkblade, like I say, if you've got your opponent using a continuous spell or trap or a field spell. Darkblade, if you do, you will discard your Goblin in order to be able to pop that. So that's another pop that we've had. Now from here, you've got all sorts that we can still do. First of all, the Mace. You can discard Mace as long as you control the combined creation. You can discard Mace in order to be able to snatch steal one of your opponent's monsters. So let's say we've just snatch steal that, so we can just take it away from them, just change of heart it until the end of the turn. Now, of course, if this is an effect monster and things like that, we've got the option of then going into IP Masquerena, send that for the SP Little Knight for another banish, which is just perfect. You've also got the option, when they activate a monster effect, we've not used Combined Creation's other effect yet, so when they activate a card effect, you can special summon a Memento monster from your graveyard. So it doesn't really matter what we go for here. We can go for whatever we want. So let's just go for the Mace. Let's summon back the Mace. We can't use its effect. We've already used everything else around. And then that turns the Creation King into another 3 pops. So we've got Creation King can pop the Mace, the Sheep, and the Darkblade in order to pop 3 cards on the opponent's field. Because you've popped the Sheep as well, you get to add a Memento card back to the hand, where you can add the Angwitch or the Darkblade to be able to go in for similar plays next turn. It's an absolutely insane board that we're building here. I absolutely love it. So that's the first combo and how to play during your opponent's turn. We're just going to go through the main combos now because the rest of them come up with similar boards, but we're not going to show how you play through on your opponent's turn from now on. But yeah, that's first combo done. Combo number 2 is going to be starting with Tatsu and Toshigo, or just Tatsu as I like to call it. So Tatsu has the effect of if you do not control any face-up monsters other than Memento monsters, which means if you control nothing, you can still do the special summon of itself. So that's why this combo works just off of Tatsu. So we're going to use Tatsu effect to special summon himself, and then use his other effect to pop himself. This time, we get to send 2 cards up to level 5. We're going to send the Sheep and the Gatic to the graveyard this time. So, with the Gatic, when he's sent to the graveyard by a Memento effect, special summon itself, and in doing so, we get to add the Sheep back to our hand. Now, we can use the normal effect of special summoning the Sheep, and then instantly fusing with the Gatic, in order to summon out the Twin Dragon. Twin Dragon effect is going to pop himself, add the Combined Creation and the Dark Blade to our hand. Now, Combined Creation can be summoned from graveyard or hand, so we just add it to the hand here. It's absolutely fine. And then once the Twin Dragon has been popped, we get to special summon from the graveyard, and we're going to special summon the sheep back. Now, we haven't used our normal summon yet, so we're going to normal summon Dark Blade. Like I say, Dark Blade is the best normal summon in the deck, so we're just going to summon out the Dark Blade, and then use Dark Blade's effect, pop the sheep this time, in order to be able to special summon the Angwitch. Now, two things that we've got here. We've got sheep sending a spell or trap to the graveyard, or we've got Angwitch adding a monster to the hand. So with sheep, we're going to send the Memento fusion to the graveyard, and with Angwitch, we're going to add the Horned Dragon to our hand. Let's special summon the Horned Dragon straight away this time. I'm not going to keep it in our hand. Just special summon it. And with this time, we are now going to banish our Memento fusion, pop the Dark Blade using the Memento fusion, and search for the fusion spell. So it's just brilliant that we can just search for a second copy of that. Absolutely fantastic to be able to then use the actual fusion effect after we've sent it to the graveyard, which is what we're going to do now. Use the fusion. We're going to shuffle back. Basically, we're going to shuffle back everything except for these two. We're going to leave these two. So, shuffle back the Twin Dragon, shuffle back those two in order to summon our Creation King. Creation King, as usual, is going to send cards. We're going to send another copy of King. We're going to send a copy of Cranium Burst this time, and a copy of Goblin. As soon as we've done that, we're going to banish the King from the graveyard. We want to get our field spell now. Banish him to grab our field spell, and then play the field spell immediately. Okay, we've not used Angwitch's other effect to be able to special summon from the graveyard, so we're going to use Angwitch's effect. We can pop the Horned Dragon in order to summon the Goblin from the graveyard. And then our field spell is going to be able to summon a monster with a lower level. So we summon of the monster that was popped. So we summon the sheep back. Okay, now we haven't used Goblin yet. Goblin has an effect of being able to pop himself in order to send two Memento cards with different names from each other from deck to graveyard. So we're going to pop the Goblin and send Darkblade and Angwitch to the graveyard. That's just for follow-up next turn, essentially. That's all we're going to be using that for, is just follow-up next turn. Just having the option of going into Darkblade or Angwitch is really useful for next turn. So we can either do the spell or trap pop, or we can get searches going for from our Angwitch. Last thing we're going to do is link for RP Masquerena, and then Combined Creation. We shuffle back, we leave that Angwitch, we shuffle back these 5. So we're leaving an Angwitch and a Darkblade in our graveyard. Shuffle back these 5 to summon out our Combined Creation, and then our field spell will let us set Cranium Burst at the end phase. So the board is pretty similar. We don't have the Bone Party this time, but the board is pretty similar. Because we've got monsters in the graveyard, we've got access to Combined Creation's effect straight away of just being able to special summon when the opponent activates a card. Like I say, you can go into Darkblade or you can go into Angwitch. If you go into Angwitch, then you can search for the sheep. and then the sheep will allow you to get your fusion plays going for Twin Dragon. So really powerful end board still. You're still getting a lot of interruption during that. So don't worry about the fact that it's slightly weaker without the Bone Party. The last one card combo starter that we've got here is Memento and Goblin. Now, we've got some support coming in Rota that's meant to be for like Goblin bikers or whatever, but it does also support Goblin of being able to special summon Goblin by tributing a monster. So that means you could technically go into using that using like any monster essentially. You can go into this combo plus that spell card to be able to special summon the Goblin from your deck. But if we've just draw into Goblin here, we're going to normal summon the Goblin to start with. So this is the last one card combo that we're going to be doing. So normal summon the Goblin. Use Goblin's effect to pop himself and send 2 cards from deck to graveyard. We're going to send a copy of the Memento Fusion and the Gatic. Gatic, when he's sent to the graveyard as normal, he special summons himself. And then he adds a Memento card back to the hand so we can add the Fusion back to hand. So, using Fusion, we can use monsters from graveyard shuffling back into the deck. So we shuffle back the Goblin and we send the Gatic to the graveyard in order to summon the Twin Dragon. Twin Dragon effect on summon, gets to pop himself. And this time we're going to add Combine Creation and the Sheep to our hand. Twin Dragon in the graveyard because he's been popped. Then special summons the Gatic back to our field. As usual, Sheep has got his effect of being able to special summon himself. So we special summon Sheep, and then we're going to fuse using cards from our field and our hand. So we're going to fuse using the Combine Creation. Remember, Combine Creation can be summoned from the graveyard, so it doesn't matter that we use this within this fusion. It's absolutely fine. And we go into our Creation King. So with this combo, the Creation King's actually not going to stay on the field in this combo, but we can get it back during the opponent's turn. So Creation King, as usual, sends a copy of itself to the graveyard. It's also going to send a copy of Darkblade and a copy of Cranium Burst. Okay, now we're going to use the King effect in the graveyard straight away. Banish the King in order to grab our field spell. Field spell gets activated straight away. And now we're going to banish our Fusion. So we banish the Fusion from the graveyard and we're going to pop the King this time. So banish the Fusion, pop the King because it's the only thing that we've got on the field. If you had another Memento card in your hand, I believe that you can pop that. Let me just check that I'm not telling you wrong. Now it has to be that you control. Never mind. Well, if you've had Tatsu in your hand as well, then that can be part of this combo. So you could always special summon the Tatsu out. So yeah, we pop the King, and we're going to add the Bone Party to our hand. Field spell is going to go off because we've popped a monster on the field, allowing us to special summon our Darkblade. And then Darkblade's going to do his normal stuff. He's going to pop himself in order to special summon the Angwitch. Angwitch is then going to search for the Horn Dragon. Special summon your Horn Dragon. Then you've got the option of being able to go into your link. So you can either go straight into your SP or you can go into your IP. I truly do like going into IP because no matter what, you're pretty much always going to be able to get into an SP Little Knight from the IP on your opponent's turn. So I like going into the IP personally. And then you can shuffle back monsters. So we leave this time, we're going to leave the Angwitch and the Horn Dragon. So we've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to shuffle back in for your Combine Creation special summon, and then they can stay in the graveyard because you've got plenty of stuff that you can do next turn with those. And then set your Bone Party during the end phase. Field spell sets the Cranium Burst. So again, slightly different. This time we've got Bone Party, but no king. But we can get king back essentially because we've just shuffled the copy of king back into the extra deck. So we can get king back essentially at any point. So it's absolutely fine that we've only got that. But yeah, those are the 3 1-card combos that you've got with Mementos. Please do like the video, subscribe down below if you've enjoyed this. I hope that you've enjoyed playing Memento. I can't wait for the Akihiron support. When you actually watch this video, Akihiron's probably out actually. I've not worked out the dates, but I'm looking forward to being able to get my hands on that and looking at the new combos that you can do with him as well. But because he's going to be a fantastic extender in this deck as well. So thank you very much, everybody. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you next time. Bye.